and welcome back to another Meet the Experts interview for the Homebuilder Growth Summit Digital Vault. Today, I am joined by Kevin, the one, the only Kevin from Outhouse. Kevin, tell me how to pronounce your last name so I say it right.
It's Weitzel, Kevin Weitzel.
Kevin Weitzel. You heard it here first. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about you, your background in the industry, a little bit more about Outhouse. I mean, we share a lot of clients together. We work together all the time, but I don't want to assume everybody knows what you do as well as I do. So the floor is yours.
Yep. So I'll just give you a quick brief synopsis of Outhouse. This is an outsourced services company for production and semi-custom home builders. We do renderings, virtual reality, animations, drafting. We can actually draft a builder's plans from redline revisions in their CAD standards or fully manage their plans in our standards. We also have a full commercial press room, so we can help clients out with their marketing collateral. We can print their marketing material, deliver it not only on time, but to specific communities instead of just to a centralized office. And then, of course, one of our claims to fame is that we actually invented the interactive floor plan now 18-ish years ago, maybe 19 years ago.
Wow.
So we've been doing it quite some time. There's plenty of companies that are getting closer. They're getting closer, but there's some decent platforms out there, but we still like to hold our head a little high that we have a fantastic interactive floor plan tool.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. And then when it comes to me, I'm actually pretty new to the industry. I've only been in the home building industry now for 5.5, 6 years. I think I'm coming up on 6 years. Prior to that, I was a sniper with 7th Marines for 8 years. And then all the rest of the time was all spent in bicycle, motorcycle, and car world. So I've done everything from being just a shop monkey as a high school kid, all the way up to being a general manager for one of the largest car dealership networks in the country. So I've kind of ran the whole scale in that realm. So when I look at the home building industry and I see how it is kind of in its own little cocoon and builders have done things the same way for so long, it's almost frustrating to see that, man, the car industry's been doing this for 10, 12, 13 years and you guys are still not doing this, and
Yeah.
they have to copy what the auto industry does, but they've tried it, been there, they've done that. So why not learn from their wins and their mistakes and utilize it to our advantage in the home building side?
Yeah. Yes. When I started, so I've been at it 18 years now. I clearly started at the age of 2. And you're right. We are in a bubble, but that's okay. We love our bubble and we love the people in it. But I do enjoy looking to other industries for inspiration, for ideas, for case studies. I think it's good to look outside, especially obviously if it is a business to consumer product, not a B2B. And if it's a higher priced product, something that you're not going to just buy every year, you go buy the latest computer, the latest iPhone. It's not as good an analogy to what we do as a car or a boat or some of those higher priced items.
Or even just look at a smartphone, Meredith. If you look at, like, I'm a Samsung guy, and not because I like Samsung, but just because I've come up with Droid, and that's what I've just always kind of used as Droid. But if you look at Droid versus Apple, if you go to an Apple store, there's an image to that product. There's a look to that product. Not only the line fit of their store, but the education aspect, that when you go in, you're talking to an industry expert. I forget what they call their Apple people there, but they're
genius,
not,
the genius
the
bar.
the genius bar. That's it. So it's a whole different perception with how you roll out your product. You're not just selling a house, you're selling somebody's home. You're not just selling, the doors and windows, you're selling Anders doors or windows, or I just picked that brand arbitrarily out of my head here, but you're selling a certain level of insulation. You're selling the fact that your walls are actually plumb. You need to point that out to people. Hold a plumb line on the wall. Show them that, hey, our walls are actually straight here. And I think we miss out on some of those finite aspects, and the fact that we do have differentiating factors. It's funny that architects all think they're new design is the newest, latest, greatest thing, and it's so exclusive and nobody else has ever done anything like it. But when it really comes down to it, in a lot of home builders cases, there's only so many ways you can divide up that little rectangle. You can only put
Yeah.
bedrooms in so many locations. You can only run pipes so many different places to where it's efficient, cost effective. You can engineer it to be something that you could build at a relevant value. But even with that, there's still differentiating factors that I think a lot of home builders miss out on, especially the less sophisticated ones.
Yeah. And to your point, I think builders, those of you listening, consider this. So what he just said about there's only kind of so many ways to make all the rectangles and squares line up on a floor plan. And I think maybe you then take that for granted, thinking that, oh, well, then everybody should understand this, or everybody should be able to look at a 1D line drawing of a floor plan and get it and really understand how amazing this layout is. But the truth is, even though it's kind of a commoditization, it's kind of a commodity, on the flip side, the person buying it may only buy one in an entire lifetime, or one every many, many years apart. So therefore, they don't know what they are looking at. They don't know it and they don't get it. And that's where the products and services like what you provide is bringing something to life on a computer screen, on a phone, on a tablet, so that I can really feel the openness of that first floor with the sunroom option and the great room. That's when I go, oh, wow, I want this house, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. So I don't remember, it was right when I first got in the industry. So in the 2015-ish range at IBS, they actually had a vendor that had a display of floor plans. And there were 4 floor plans. They were literally all the same floor plan. And they asked everybody coming through to just pick which floor plan was the biggest. And they were literally all the same. Just one was a black and white top down. One was a black and white, or one was a colorized. One had furniture. Then there was the 3D like dollhouse looking version. And in every single case, they ranked in that order. So in perception of size, the smallest perceived square footage was that 3D dollhouse. So why are you showing your customers that? Yeah, it's pretty, it looks cool, but it makes it look teeny tiny. And black and white was actually, and whether the lines are blue or green, it doesn't really matter, but just that standard 2D.
One color.
Exactly. One color variation actually was perceived as the largest. And additionally, on top of that, their next series, they showed a series of options. And only 28%, so we're talking 72% of the people couldn't do it, couldn't attach all the options onto the floor plan. And those are people in our industry.
In the industry.
In our industry. So we're talking out of the 10 options they had, only 28% actually could hit every single option where they belonged. So think about all the buyers out there that don't look at floor plans, don't look at details, and don't see that, and they can't even imagine it. So how are they going to imagine how the different configurations, your higher, I'm going to use quote marks here, your higher margin options are going to even be put into the house without seeing them built in the model? But you don't have the luxury of building model down the road. You might be able to build 2 or 3 out of a series of 5 or 6, 7 homes. So that's when we land in the virtual world, so you should be able to show not only interactive floor plans to show how it looks top down, but also in the virtual world. So not only can you do a virtual tour, kind of like Matterport, but rendered or animated, but you can actually show those options in real time in that same environment. And that takes the guesswork out for your buyer.
Very early in my career, I was hired to consult with a builder in the Midwest, and they wanted me to come in person and go through several of their neighborhoods and do an analysis and go through their competitors' neighborhoods and just really try to figure out why sales were slow. So I go out there, I go to this master planned community, and I see 6 model homes for probably, I think I remember roughly 150, 200 home section of this neighborhood. Like, not a lot of homes for the number of models, right? Normally for that, you might see 1 or 2 models, right? No, there was like 6. So I start the first one. The salesperson opens the front door. We take a step in, and there's a wall, like here. It goes nowhere. And she goes, yeah, this didn't sell at all. So we built the next model. And I went, okay. And so we go to model number 2, and I don't remember what was wrong with that one. But again, and I went, and she goes, yeah, this one didn't really sell either. So we built model number 3. Short story, they had built 6 models because none of them were selling. And I think this is a long time ago. So if they'd had the interactive tools, maybe they could have kind of visualized this before they had all this money on the ground for model after model after model with a wall in front of the front door that goes nowhere. I mean, you literally fell into this foyer and went nowhere. It was just bad, right?
Wow.
And yeah, and it's like we waste so much time and money. But then that's where I'm confused, honestly, Kevin, because we still come across a lot of our clients and other builders who are not doing the interactive floor plans. They are not doing the virtual model homes. They are not doing the virtual reality. And I don't want to be patronizing or condescending, but I kind of don't get it. So seriously, without belaboring that point, what do you think are the real barriers or perceived barriers that maybe we could help alleviate today?
So I run into this obviously because I have to work with home builders just like you and Alan do, and you hear objections, and there's various objections, but really it comes down to there's a few different cycles. You've got your sophisticated builder, the people who've been doing it forever. Their growth is going crazy. They're building in communities all over the place. You've got your not sophisticated builder, unsophisticated builder, I should say, that just trying to they could build a great quality home, but maybe they don't have these tools in place. Don't know how to put the tools in place, don't have the staffing to put the tools in place. Maybe they can't allocate the budget for it. But really, what it really comes down to it doesn't matter whether you're in a slow market, a average market, or a very good market. Excuse me. It comes down to knowing that no matter where you are on the sales cycle and where you are in that sophistication cycle, that you constantly have to evolve and upgrade your product. People replace their smartphones every 2-3 years. I'm probably on the long side of that. I go until my battery no longer works on my phone. But it does kind of boil down to if you're not staying up to times. I think that the technology is expected. I know the technology is expected now. Whether it's ours or BDX or Rendering House or Focus 360, they're all great companies. They put out fantastic product, but pick a lane and improve your product line. It's insulting to your ear if you're still showing them cartoon drawings, if you're still showing them 2D stick drawings of the elevate. They call it elevation. That's not elevation. That's just a clip out of your CAD files, really. I think insulting to a buyer because there's no way to visualize what that home can look like with that. But believe it or not, builder after builder after builder is still selling that way. Now, granted, they might be in the right dirt right now. So if you're selling in that hot market in Florida or Texas or North Carolina that's just really smoking right now, you don't have to really do anything. Just continue to build homes and they will come. What is that? Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. But what it really comes down to is there's going to be a time where you don't have that optimal dirt or you don't have that optimal market. Maybe the market slows down a little bit. You have to be poised to still be competitive, not sitting just hoping that the business is going to keep coming in the door. Otherwise, you're going to have a 2009 back again.
And audience, understand how the pipeline works and the timing works. So for example, your website traffic right now, as we are talking November, and this publishes and you're listening through it, your November website traffic are your February sales. And we don't know what that cycle is going to be in February because things are changing so rapidly between the politics and the COVID and the economy and everything that's happening. We are in a 24-hour news cycle, fast, rapid change time right now. And so it could be red hot right now, but your February buyers are already on your website. You're already losing February sales in November because it's a 30, 60, 90 day, depending on your location, your price point, your buyer profile, of a pipeline from website visit to sale. With exceptions here and there, of course, there's going to be somebody that needs it right now, but for the most part, they're going to look 8-10 weeks online, do research, narrow down to a couple. Like, you're already getting eliminated. So by the time you make the correction he's suggesting, you've already lost several months of sales. Does that make sense?
It does. And not only do you have that timeline gap, but you also have the timeline of what it takes to produce the content to go on the website.
There you go.
The timeline it takes to reinvent a new website, because you don't just build a website and it lasts forever.
Nope.
You have to ask Alan. I mean, he's redone websites for companies that, you've had repeat customers. So
Yes,
when you've got a website, life, call it 5 years. I don't know. I don't even know what the lifespan of a website is, but let's say it's 5 years.
Yeah.
You have to reinvent that collateral. Is your collateral after years, or are you updating plans? Are you out a show? Creating wow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But I really think that there's even more to it than that, Meredith. I think it comes down to, there's a few areas of objection that maybe aren't even all that well founded. There's people that say, I don't have the budget for it. Well, you need to fight for your budget, because your success is based on you being able to fund the process of making that success. If you can't fund your tools, you don't have any tools to work with. You can't build without your tools. You have to be able to buy the hammers, the saws, and the nails to be able to put the home together. Same thing with your marketing plan. You have to budget to get those items in place. And then there's also the fear of asking for that change, because some companies just have a fear of change, and sometimes fear of even asking for that change. So if you've got an old school boss saying in our office, don't make mistakes, and that's even top down. So even if we find that our president, our VP of operations is, if they say something that's like, oh, that sounds a little goofy, that's not how it is now, which that's not really that big deal, but they can make mistakes. And if they do make a mistake, stop them before the mistake is made. If he says, oh, I really like these 2D black and white elevations, you need to just grab him by the shoulders. And I'm assuming it's a dude, but let's just say it's a gal or a dude. You grab that person, that VP of whatever, or president, or whatever, shake him by the shoulders and go, nobody wants more. We need to have some photoreal renderings. We need to have a virtual tour. We need to have interactive floor plans if we have options. And if it's a spec home, we need to have the fastest slot build on the planet so we can get these things up and sold and flipped.
It's true. It's really true. And so I find that when I'm trying to convince somebody at a higher level, if I show them competitors or other builders I know they aspire to, and they have what I'm wanting, builders are very competitive by nature. And so sometimes that will make the sale for you. If you say, but so-and-so has this, and look how good it looks on their website. And it's like, oh, now I got to have it too.
Oh yeah. No, there's some great content out there, and it's funny. It's also a question of, with your suppliers, it's having that relationship with your supplier. I don't mind not getting a deal, if you will, or holding freezing. I don't mind if we lose a potential project based on the fact that they already have a relationship with another qualified vendor.
Sure. I feel the same way.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you've got something rolling, I respect a company that has a certain level of respect for those relationships, because those relationships are very important. Yeah, that loyalty that's there. That doesn't mean you have to bed forever, and that also doesn't mean if they're not delivering or they're missing your timelines and overbilling, sure, maybe explore other avenues.
Look at another change. Yeah,
absolutely.
Totally.
Just like your vendors, just like a home builder's vendors when they're looking at their suppliers. If they're constantly going, wow, why am I paying this for Kohler sinks and piping when I could get it from this other vendor that also sells Kohler? You get the gist.
Yeah,
it's a bad
I
example,
do.
probably, but
No. I mean, if it's not working, don't be afraid to change it, I think is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And it still comes down to, there's some items that are like commoditized. If you look at 3D renderings, okay, Whether you're looking at, if you're looking at the similar type of product, like a photoreal or a photoreal dusk or a what we call a standard rendering, if you're looking at that and you're looking at Focus 360, Alpha Vision, Media Lab, BDX, Rendering House, we're all relatively competitive with each other. We really are. So really what it comes down to is that who do you have the most chances of having a quality relationship with?
That's right.
um, or who do you have already have a relationship with, and can it evolve? There's some mistakes that some builders make where they'll say, well, I'm going to get this product from this person. So visualizers is a good example. If you are looking for visualizers, okay, and let's say you have 70 homes in your library of plans, you are limited to the people that supplied that rendering to you,
Hmm.
because nobody that's using a visualizer, or that's deploying a visualizer wants to use brand X, Y, or Z on their tool, because it could limit the effectiveness of that tool. So if you have rendering through us and you're looking for a visualizer, and let's say we don't have one, and you're like, okay, well, Rendering House BDX has it. If they ask me, I'll say they both have a fantastic product. However, buyer beware, know that when you make that move, they're going to hit you up to redo those renderings again, because that's
Yes,
just
that's
so.
how it works.
Learn that those relationships, you've built those, you need to kind of almost build a nest egg on those. So
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. We do the same thing with websites. We don't really want to work on other website companies. I call them engines, so to speak. It's not profitable. It's not efficient for us. I can't hit the deadlines, I promise you, because I don't know it like I know our engine. And when I'm in
okay,
our engine and our developers in our code, I know I can give certain deliverables and be very confident we're going to hit them well,
yeah.
right? And it's that whole thing of over promise, under deliver. That's a problem,
Well,
right?
here's the very frustrating one, is how often that a home builder will look at the criteria. Let's say that all the numbers are similar, but they ask me, how long, what's the turnaround time for this? And I say, we can't start it for a week, and it's going to take, let's say, 6 weeks to do the entire project. And they
Yeah,
go, well, vendor X said they can do it in a week and a half. And I'm like, it's not even possible.
they
Can't
can't. They
happen.
can't.
But the problem is the damage is already done. By the time they realize that that supplier lied to them, they're so far down the river that they would
Right.
have to literally invest thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to turn the boat back around, head back upstream to start all over.
No, I had
So,
the same thing happen with the website recently, and I just wouldn't say this could be done in 30 days because it couldn't.
mhm.
And the other company absolutely said it, and absolutely months later, it
Oh yeah,
launched exactly when I
oh,
said it would. But
yeah,
because I wouldn't commit to a false timeline, I didn't get the contract. But
right.
I don't care. I sleep good at night because we say what we mean and we mean what we say around here. And that's one of the things we've always loved about working with you guys is you've been exactly the same way, so upfront and transparent. It's hard for us all to play together and share these clients, and
Right.
it could be hard, I should say. It's not
It
between the
can
two
be.
of us.
It,
It's
it
very
doesn't have to
smooth.
be.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's very
Because
smooth.
we work with a dozen different people building, dozens of website builders that are out there.
Sure.
Do we have our preferences? Do we prefer, Meredith Communications? Do we prefer the Blue Tangerines? Do we prefer graphic languages, the O'Neills? Yeah, of course we do. But the nature of the beast is that we have to supply our content to whoever the builder chooses to use in that case.
That's right.
Oh, so when I look at that and I see that there are choices out there, you have to kind of just. It's not always about the budget.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is about the relationship and what they provide. I see a lot of mistakes made on a regular basis with that you have the I can build a website to companies that home building industry. A lot of specificity
A
to
lot.
building websites that feed home builders needs. And there's
Most of
tons of
the,
lessons that you guys have learned. I know that
yes.
Alan has probably beat his head against a wall a couple of times, but
Yes.
in doing so, he's learned how to fix that. And now from that point forward, he's got a home run for that next
It
client.
doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
So,
so true. Yeah, most of our new clients come because they built a website with an outside the industry agency. It was a disaster. They didn't get what they were promised. They can't update the homes fast enough, easy enough. They have to touch every record 3 million times. And when I get those calls, I just do a little happy dance because I know I'm about to get a new customer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, I can make this so much easier for you.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's dream big here for our
Yeah.
next conversation. Uh, let's say a builder has some of the basics in place. Maybe they've got the interactive floor plans or whatever you tell me. What would be, they've made a good step in the right direction, but they want to think bigger, dream bigger for 2021. What should they be focusing on for their interactive content, like to take it up a notch?
I'll tell you, I actually have a very good answer for that. At least in my opinion, it's a good answer. Is that
I'll be the judge of that.
you want to look at options or platforms out there that have interconnectivity. You don't want just to have an interactive floor plan, but to tie dynamically to pricing or to feed those buyer leads directly into your CRM. That needs to happen. Your interactive site plans need to have not just real-time graphical representation on the screen for your buyer, but then you need to show them what homes can be built, what homes are built, either graphically or at least in verbiage. And then you tie it to your back end sales office to where you can automatically update when you sell a lot in the computer tracking system, that it pushes out to your lot.
Yes.
And there are systems out there that do that. The problem is that a lot of systems are tied to a certain type of system. Like, I know that I can tie my site plans to, I'm just going to say, Sales Simplicity. And when I contract somebody through Sales Simplicity to our contracting system, it can automatically suit our map needs. However, let's say you're now you change your computer system to Builder Trends. Well, guess what? They don't have the same protocol, the same communication. You can't connect it the same way. So you have to match those kind of things out. Interconnectivity is very important. I think it's more so important than even people will realize, because it streamlines the back end process and the efficiency. Then once you can drill down that efficiency, you're just adding profit into the bottom line, because you're making better use of your time of your employees. And then on top of that, get some redundancy out of the use of what you are making. There's only so many ways you can skin a front elevation of a home. Here's front elevation, here's a front elevation in dusk, here's a front elevation with maybe some cutouts. But why settle for just a VR? Take your VR, pull stills from that VR, so now you can have stills. Now take those stills, put them as hotspots in your interactive floor plan. So now you have not just hey, here's a gallery of what the kinds of homes we build, but hey, here's the kitchen in its location from this perspective on this exact plan.
Nice.
So I would say interconnectivity, making sure that happens. There's a couple of areas out there that are on topic hot, but not necessarily the direction that people need to go right now. Augmented reality is one. We've toyed with it. We have the one where you could hold your phone over a floor plan, print out and actually see the 3D version of it and zoom into it. You can see it with or without a roof and dive into the whole thing all from your cell phone. I know John over at Rendering House has a pretty cool thing where you can, and Clayton Homes has one too, but where you can go to your lot location, point your phone at it and see your 3D home there. It's cool. I think that, and I'm just going to steal a page from the auto industry here, and they always say, number one, never let them leave, and two, your job is to get them in the office, to sit them down at the desk. That's the whole world of the auto industry. So stepping back to the augmented reality, if you have to get them in the office to educate them on downloading what app, if you have to get them to take home a piece of paper with the instructions on it, if you have to then send them away from your office over to a different site to play with the toy, just sell them the dang home.
I know.
Just so you got them there. They're already your audience. Wow them while they're there and sell them the home. The toys are great, but honestly, I think that's an expenditure that is extraneous. It's not necessary. Get quality. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
Get quality elevations. Get some VRs. And if you're using Matterport, follow this rule. Staged Matterports, not empty Matterports.
Please,
empty homes have an 8-to-1 bounce ratio over staged homes. Okay. There is virtual staging out there for Matterport right now, or those types of environments. It isn't quite there yet. It's a little cartoony in my opinion. I personally don't take them serious when I see them, but sometimes it does help with spatial aspect and recognition of the space. But yeah, so get some Matterports. They're not that expensive. If you get some VRs, you can use those from community to community to community. It's not just that one plan. It's that plan everywhere you sell it. So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
get that spend.
Yeah, my rule of thumb for the website is no empty rooms in any of what we call the hero images.
Right.
So a hero image is that big image on the home page that's either the full background or the slider or in a video. No empty homes that are not merchandised.
I agree.
The header image at the top of each interior page, it's generally a bigger size image. If you want to do empty rooms in the available home detail page, quote unquote, like Zillow listing of that home, specific home that's for sale, and you've got 15 or 20 photos of that home, kind of like it was a resale home listing type thing. Right. I don't have a problem with that. But to showcase ourselves, to grab attention for Facebook posts, for our websites, these empty rooms drive me insane.
Oh yeah.
I can't take it.
And then also look at this factor. You know, people, you know, a lot of home builders, when they're looking at their budget, they'll say, wow, it's X to do a virtual tour of this house. That's a lot of money. Like, but is it? Number one,
Right.
we can do it right away. You don't even have to have a house to build it. It gets built right from the CAD files. They do a 3D model. And the photorealism of a lot of these virtual tours now are getting crazy.
Oh, it's crazy good. If you weren't in our industry, you wouldn't know. Like, we're super picky because we know what we're looking at, but the average person would never know.
Not to give kudos to Focus 360. I do love those guys, but I'll tell you, because, you know, I don't want to have to compete against them, but I do. The work they do in the visualization department is ridiculous. Some of their renderings and some of their virtual tours are so photoreal that they could actually fool some audiences.
Yeah.
I could still pick them, but you know.
Yeah, but that's our job.
But that's our job.
You know, you made a comment on virtual staging that I just wanted to hit on too. I mean, yes, it can be a little cheesy and a little easy to spot, but I will still take virtual staging over empty if it's going to be a virtual tour type thing.
I will too.
I would take it over that and just, you know, spend as much as you can to get the highest quality of that you can. But
virtual staging does come better now with photos. So photo virtual staging has just gone through the roof with quality.
It looks pretty good.
Some of the 3D environment virtual staging, where, you know, like the Matterport stuff where you drop it in little pieces of furniture, that's still on the cartoony side for me. It's still better than empty, but you know, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to a virtual tour, whether it's animated or rendered, yeah, you know, it could be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, you know, depending on the detail of the home and sizes, scale of the job. But think about it this way. How much does it cost you to build and sit on the dirt of a model? How much does it cost you to buy the furniture to fill it? How much does it cost you to have the labor to stage that home and to have all that furniture in there? And then the wear and tear on it, and then just the overall lifespan of that furniture, because it's practically worthless when it's all done anyway. If you look at that and the cost of doing a Matterport, you can have it done before you even broke ground and be pre-selling off of that virtual environment. So does it really cost more? On the big scheme of things, I actually think it costs less.
Yeah.
On paper, the check you write, sure, it's more. But if you add up all the different columns, I think you'd be surprised how often that they rendered options are completely viable.
But doesn't this take some discipline, though, on the side of the builder in terms of what floor plans they offer and not like changing them every 10 minutes? And then, because that makes it hard to have a profit. I mean, at some point, I think it's important to have discipline about how many plans, what the range is, how often they get updated. Like, find your sweet spot, build that plan, and just rake it in, you know, create a great process for it and just slay it. And then you're going to get a better end product, I think.
So we're talking to production home builders. We're not talking to customs. Customs they have their own can of worms that they have to
Of
deal with on a
course.
day-to-day basis. But when we're talking about production or even semi-production home builders, or semi-custom home builders, I guess semi-production is the wrong word, but semi-custom home builders, your goal is to not just build a really groovy floor plan and a neat home to sell. You look at the biggest players out there, the D.R. Hortons, the Lennars. Lennar will openly brag they've got a plan they've had in their library for over 25 years. You know how many times it's changed?
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
Why? Because they keep selling it over and over and over again. You know how profitable that home has been to their spreadsheet, their P&L?
Exactly.
Off the charts. So I do believe you do need to keep your product updated, but within reason. Again, it comes down to how many ways can you divide that box. Sure, you could learn some things during construction that, hey, having this handrail come all the way to the den is kind of silly. We need whatever those design flaws that you find in production might be. But those subtle improvements can be made. But yeah, you're exactly right. It comes down to you need to hold on to that repetition. I can't say the word.
Yeah.
You need to hold on to that repetitiveness aspect of it, that you can keep repeating that wash, rinse, repeat of a plan over and over again until it's just not relevant anymore.
Yeah. Or if it absolutely doesn't fit the piece of dirt that you've got, obviously it has to be modified. But
Absolutely.
There has to be some level of discipline to being profitable on your plans. I mean, every time you introduce a new one, your builder has to learn how to build it correctly and what are the pitfalls of every plan. Has its little that if it doesn't get done right in the field, it's just a hot mess every time. Like you just know that workaround, it, and you can replicate it with ease. Okay, as we start to wrap up our conversation, which I'm enjoying immensely and hate to do, I would love to know more on the personal side of, why you do what you do there. What about it excites you? What do you love about it? And what are you most looking forward to besides this year ending? Which, although I don't know that there's going to be I think some people are under the mistaken impression we're going to flip a switch on December 31st and 2020 will be over and this nightmare will be behind us. I don't really think that's what's going to happen. But as you kind of turn a page on to next year, what are you personally excited about?
So we're, as a nation, globe, we're in a constant state of flux. There's always an ebb and flow of everything in every aspect. There's no one side of a political argument that is right. There's some that you can lean more one direction or another, but there's nothing that's absolute, because I can eat as much cake as I want, but eventually I'm going to get diabetes and I'm going to get fat. I can run as much as I want, but eventually I'm going to tear through the cartilage of my knees. It's just the way it is. There's a pro and a con to every single decision that's made. So talking about those decisions, when I was in the Marine Corps, I traveled to Africa for 1.5 years. Can't tell you everywhere it was outside of Somalia. That's public knowledge. But I touched foot in over half of the countries in Africa during that time. And one thing that I learned there is that I understand that money makes the world go round, and money's very important, but I no longer let that drive my being. I was miserable making ridiculous money in the auto industry. And it's ridiculous to me. I mean, granted, we're not talking about Bezos money, but we're talking about, average Joe kind of cash. It was good money. So, I mean, when I'm making six figures there, I was absolutely miserable. I neglected my time with my children. I'm going to be 50 in March. And what I look at is I say, man, do I really want to look back on my life when I can't hardly walk anymore and say, boy, I wish I would have spent more time at work. I wish I would have gotten a couple more bonuses. No, it does. None of it matters. It's just horse shit. It was really what it comes down to. Not to speak, what do they call it? Is that French? That's not French. It's not, I don't know.
It's true, though.
Feces.
It's true. We just get our perspectives get so out of whack.
So I know this is going to sound crazy to any of the salespeople that are on this call. I'm not money driven. I'm really not. I am no longer money driven. I haven't been. My company has the luxury of having me on the cheap when it really comes down to it. I don't look at the carrot of, oh, if I sell 8 more, builders on interactive floor plans, I get this bonus and a trip to Maui. None of it is even relevant. I don't look at that. I don't look at close ratios, at least for me, for my personal income aspect.
Mhm.
The thing that drives me when you ask for a personal answer is I hold my head high and I take a lot of pride knowing that our entire production team depends on not just our existing clients, but the clients that I bring in. So my efforts directly impact their ability to feed their families, to keep a roof over their head, to hold their head high, to not be in an unemployment line. That's what I work for. So that's my personal answer to what drives me. That really is. That's it. That's me in a nutshell. I'm a big old hippie. I'm a former Marine. I'm a former Marine Garrison sniper hippie, but still, that's not the point.
Yeah.
I'm still a hippie.
So, well, one, thank you for your service. That's
Thank you.
such an amazing gift. And two, I can relate to that completely. I made crazy money in the boom years of the industry, invested it all in real estate in Orlando, Florida. How do you think that turned out?
You might have listened. Did you just drive down the road and literally take the bucket of cash and just
Yeah,
whip it
I
out the
should have
window?
done that. I
Yeah.
didn't have Brady yet. We were double income, making
Yeah.
crazy money in the boom. Invested it, we thought wisely, didn't turn out exactly the way we thought, had to kind of start over and reset. And so I learned that there was a way to be happy during that time. I was
There
happy when
is.
I had buckets of money, but I was happy when I didn't. And then I agree, the COVID reset too has been one of, as long as you have your health, I think that's brought to everyone's focus and everyone's forefront of their mind. I mean, if you have your health, every other problem is really a very small problem that can be solved. It's a perspective
Absolutely.
reset. And then what you said about your team, that's exactly how I feel about our team. The only pressure I ever feel for Meredith Communications to be successful is not look at me, or my success or whatever money I'm going to make, but it's I want to feed the machine, because the machine is made up of people's lives that
Right.
I feel responsible for. And
Well,
I want them
let
to
me
do
ask.
well.
Let me turn the tables around you, Meredith.
Yes.
How often do you get that sense of just elation, absolute pure joy, when you get a home builder client that
Yes.
goes, look at this website, it's awesome, or look at these renderings that you guys did for us, and look at this interactive floor plan, and you made our life so much easier. When I hear that, I'm like, bam, it just
Oh,
charges me.
it makes my day. Like, it's the reason I do all this every day, is I do
Feels
it for
good.
them to be more successful. And when they do take a minute to appreciate it, it's everybody needs to know that they're doing a good job and that the
Yeah.
person is satisfied. Because I take their marketing as seriously, I feel, as they do. Like, I think I'm part of the team.
Yeah. Well, you are
So I
actually.
take it very personally, and that doesn't serve me well sometimes as well. But I do, I take it very personally, not only for our external clients, but also our team.
Right.
I feel a lot of like what you said, the drive is because I want them to be successful. And I watch the families that they're raising and the babies being born. And I'm thinking, what we're doing is supporting that.
Right.
That's so cool.
You got to take a vacation to I don't know, Cuba. Do people vacation in Cuba?
I
You
don't
know,
know.
I don't think they do. I don't think that's
I
really a
don't think I
destination
want
spot for most. But
to.
let's say you went to the Caribbean. That
Yeah.
costs money, and if doing
Yeah.
your job, it's when it comes down to all just doing jobs, where
Yeah.
we're moving, box A over to to whole B. I mean, that's all
It's
we're all
really
doing in a
true.
nutshell.
I
No matter
know.
whether you're in high finance or you know. Designing home plans, we're just being compensated for what we do. But that joy that you can get from making somebody's life easier, making sure they have a job,
Yeah.
I think that's
It's
literally
really
that's the
cool.
gravy. That's the frosting on everybody's cake, if you ask me. But
I'm with you. All right. So audience, as you're listening into this, you're maybe in new home sales or marketing. So you're going to be thinking about this slightly differently. You're not the owner of your company with team members, but think about the realtors you work with, the trade partners that build the houses. Every sale you make, you are supporting those people's livelihoods as you do it, as well as we know for a fact that housing's the underpinning of, frankly, the whole economy. It drives the whole
Absolutely.
bad boy and makes us all more successful. In every other industry, they don't even realize how much we're the backbone of a good, thriving economy. So you guys are contributing out there to other people's livelihoods. And so maybe take a minute to appreciate that, feel some of that joy that Kevin and I are talking about, because you're doing it as well. Well, Kevin, it has been a pleasure and a delight. Please check out Outhouse and their interactive services. Like I said, we share a lot of clients together. We work together just so smoothly, so easily. The transparency with them, the communication is always great. And I just wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. I would say nothing. So,
And not only do we appreciate that, but we reciprocate the same.
Yeah,
Our
you really.
clients that utilize you guys for website services, or even in your case, when you're going out there and you're coaching their sales teams, their marketing teams, and showing them the roadmap to success.
Yeah,
I hear nothing but good. I mean, it is nothing but
good,
good. So
good.
we appreciate you. We love working with you. The whole works.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sponsoring the summit. And I will see you hopefully at another event, maybe in person someday soon.
One day.
We will do a group hug without mask and social distance, because this thing will be far behind us, and that will be an awesome day.
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.